Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
The 3 assets to client attraction. Now, I believe you being a coach, consultant, or small to medium business, your goal is to get more clients and customers and then generate revenue so you can grow your business. And I assume that's the reason why you tune in every single day to the Online Prosperity Experience, just so that you'll be able to get the advice for you to be able to create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. But you might be asking, how do I achieve that goal? How do I create a business that's profitable and enjoyable? And what is it that you should do in order to scale your business, especially online? Well, if that was your question all along, you are in luck, right? Because today we're going to be talking about the 3 A's that actually, will help you create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And I'll also give you practical examples on how to spot these 3 A's in action and also in yourself, just so you can nurture them. Because when you nurture things like this, they grow. And where energy flows, you will grow. So obviously, I was talking to a client, the other day, and I came across, a discussion we were having a discussion, and then it dawned on me that they actually had no clue what it takes in order for you to create a business that's profitable and enjoyable, and how each and every one of those 3 assets I'm going to be talking about actually comes hand in hand. And that's the reason why I'm calling them assets, not tactics. Okay, so there's 3 A's when it comes to client attraction. There's affability, availability, and ability. All right. So I want to give you specific examples of what each and every one of these words stands for. And maybe you're hearing the word affability for the first time. The other ones, availability and ability, are easy because guess what? We have to be able to provide a service in order for us to be paid. We have to be available for our clients when they call us and when they need us. But what is affability? And it's spelled Affability. Okay, so when a doctor is deemed or said to be affable, that means he or she is friendly, is empathetic, and appears to be genuinely caring. Okay, have you ever heard when people say he has a really good bedside manner? Okay, nobody wants to go to a doctor that tells you right straight off the bat you're gonna die. Nobody wants to go to a doctor that says, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is not curable." You know what I mean? Nobody wants a doctor that is not courteous, that is not empathetic, or that genuinely cares for their patients. So why would anyone come to a person who doesn't genuinely care, when they're selling their consulting, their training, their information, their expertise, or paid speaking gigs? Do you get the connection in what this actually, means? Because we're dealing with people's hopes and dreams. We're dealing with people's failures in life. And if we don't care and we only just care about them paying our bills, these people are not going to be coming back for more. These people are not going to be telling their friends at a barbecue about how good a service they're receiving from you. So when a doctor, when a coach, when a consultant, when a lawyer, a mortgage broker, whatever it is that you're doing today is affable, that means he or she is friendly, is empathetic, and appears to be genuinely caring. And when you do things like this, people get to know, like, and trust you. And guess what happens? People do business with those they know, like, and trust. So I've just touched on a bit of affability there. Obviously, availability is about how long a patient will have to maybe wait to get an appointment. Okay, what is the buyer's journey like? When people have to work with you, do they have to jump through hoops, or do they have to, donate a limb or something like that in order to get an appointment with you? Are you making it easy for people to do business with you? All right. So this is some of the things that we talk about, especially when we say if you have a clear indication of who your clients are, you will be able to serve them in a way that makes you available, not necessarily, at their beck and call, but you are available when they need you, and they know that you're the right kind of person with the right kind of solution that can solve the problems that they have. And talking about solving problems, ability means speaking to the client, or maybe since we're using the doctor as an analogy here, speaking to the patient's sense of just how good or bad the doctor is at their job. Is this doctor going to solve the bleeding neck problem that we came to him for? So what actually interests me about all these things is not a lot of people actually pay close attention to any of these three things. How courteous you are to your clients, how easy you make it to do business with you, and how you actually create the results for them. You know what I mean? And the way I listed them is in accordance to the importance to how people actually decide to do business with us. In other words, okay, our clients care most about you being affable. Do you actually care about the results that you're about to give to them? And then maybe they'll then look at your availability, and then finally your actual skills. And yes, I said your ability is listed at the last. We lead with how good we are at accounting. We lead with how good we are at, writing a loan. We lead with how good we are at doing SEO or social media. Clients don't care about that. They care about, are you the person who's going to hold their hand and make sure they're not making a mistake? And you should understand that as a coach, consultant, or small to medium business, you are paid so that somebody has someone to blame. Okay? People don't want to make mistakes out there. They don't want to make mistakes with their health. They don't want to make mistakes with their wealth. They don't want to make mistakes in their relationships. They want to pass on that blame to an expert like yourself. So they want to know, are you going to be the person who will understand exactly where they are and where they want to go? And pretty much, are you going to do it in such a way that you don't insult their intelligence or make them look stupid? And in the process, do you make it easy for them to connect with you and to actually do business with you? And do you actually happen to know what you do? So that's why I listed ability last. And of course, this doesn't mean that, people don't care about how good or bad of a coach or consultant you are. And maybe, people place ability last. Why? Because it's very hard for us to make a judgment on how good a person can be, especially if we don't think they are going to be able to look after us. People don't care what you know. They care about how much you care about their outcomes. So in other words, patients, clients, and people that we're going to be serving out there, they care most about their doctor being affable, then about the doctor's availability, and then finally about the doctor's ability. All right? Because our ability can be Googled. The thing that you serve right now, somebody can get it on the internet cheaper, better, faster. What they want to know is, are you the person that actually cares to deliver that result to them? And that's how it works with doctors and patients. It should be the same thing as you're providing your consulting, your training, your information, or your expertise. And maybe we can actually learn from how doctors have this bedside manner for their clients right? When figuring out what their, what our clients are looking for when they actually come over to us or when they hire us. Are we presenting in a way that actually shows the client that we are the right person who will handhold them through whatever problem they might be facing? Because every client usually thinks that their problem is unique to them. Have we showed them that we've got an intricate understanding of what they're going through, and we actually know the steps needed for them to get themselves out of whatever funk they're in? People like buying stuff, right? People like solving their problems. The last thing they need is to be making mistakes out there. So you are getting paid as a coach or consultant in order for them to have somebody to blame in case things go wrong. So the bigger the issue, the more you can charge. But you need to show me that you are invested in the outcomes, not just in it for the paycheck. And I think a lot of us I think many of us assume that clients are just interested in, determining whether we are good at the job or not. I'm a digital marketer. My role literally entails me to speak to algorithms every day. You know what I mean? And figuring out what's new, what's not new, so that I can, help my clients navigate the online space. And I joke around and call the people that listen to these podcasts as internet explorers, because we're always searching for solutions. And I just make it easy for you by combining all these issues into a podcast that I deliver every single day. What is it that you're doing to show your clients that you absolutely care about the outcome? Because this is what I learned fundamentally at an early age. If you can show somebody that you have a solution to their problem, then obviously you understand, or you can articulate their problem better than they can themselves. They actually assume you've got the solution, because there's no way you can explain a concept that is so vague to them and not know how to close that loop. So a lot of us think that our clients assume we assume that our clients are after knowing if we are able to deliver on our promises, or how good are we as a coach, consultant, or even a small business owner. Are we good enough to do the job? So as coaches and consultants, we put a lot of effort trying to provide proof of our ability. Maybe we're using testimonials, case studies, and the like. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think what we do less of when we're really reaching out to our audience is to display our affability and our availability. Are we able to actually get results for our clients? Because if you lead with that, all right, if you lead with how you are empathetic on anybody else's situation and how easy it is for somebody to start a journey with you, you, my friend, will be head and shoulders above anybody else in there, Me Too marketing or coaching or consulting website out there. And I want to make it clear, to really, really make it clear, that what I mean here is we want to make it clear that we're available and ready to start work on their project immediately, because your client does not care how many other clients you have at hand. If they show up today, knock on your house's door, knock on your proverbial virtual door, knock on your office door, are you available to take on their project? And it's easy for us to showcase our availability by putting our calendars on our website, so people can schedule themselves in. Right? So it's easy to show how good we are, because we can stick our certifications or qualifications on the website. It's easy to show that we're ready to start the project with them as soon as possible. But for us to demonstrate our affability is a little bit harder, and it takes much more time. And this is where this podcast comes into place. This is my way of showing my affability side, that I am willing to show you exactly what it takes in order for you to create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. I just so happen to charge for it when you do show up. So let's look at the topic of that word, affability, in a little bit more detail, because this came to me at a time when I thought people understood you just really have to be a nice person. Even the Bible talks about love thy neighbor as much as you love yourself. That's exactly what affability is. All right? If you look at books, Dale Carnegie, his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. All right? There's 6 ways of making people, like you, and we know that people do business with those they know, like, and trust. The first thing that he talks about is be genuinely interested in other people. All right? If you're interested in other people, they would also automatically return that favor. We are human beings. We live around reciprocity. And in the process, you want to smile. You want to extend love to the next person. Have them, acknowledge them. Make sure they feel seen. Make sure they feel heard. Half of the time when our clients come to us, we don't even look at them as a person. We just look at them as an invoice. We just look at them as a hashtag. And that's why sometimes, clients end up, looking for other providers because they don't feel heard. Just smile. When you smile, somebody's a way to acknowledge that the person in me sees the person in you. And one other thing that, people that are affable do is they remember people's names. And that's what Dale Carnegie also mentions. Remember that a person's name is to that person the most important sound. Have you ever been walking through even a noisy circus or something like that, and somebody mentions your name, you turn around? Especially somebody goes, John, Sally, Luke, Peter, John, whatever other common names out there, Emily, Emma. And you're like, oh, was that me? Are you talking to me? Because we are, scientifically tuned into listening to our name, because that's the first thing that we hear, pretty much. And we get to learn it, and we spend the rest of our times creating an identity around that name. Because what's in the name, really? It's the identity that we ascribe to what that person, is. Because we're growing around feeling the shoes of a person whose name we are responding to will do, or whatever it is. I'm getting a little bit philosophical with that one, and I was losing my mind. But hey, the other thing for you to become affable is being a good listener. Encourage other people to talk about themselves. So when they're talking about themselves, they are, really reliving that time they thought nobody was watching. They thought nobody was listening. And if you, as a coach or consultant, become that for them, guess what? They will pay you whatever money just so they can be heard. Simple things like that. And we think it's all about funnels, SEO, it's all about TikToking or things of that nature. Just be genuinely interested in people. Smile and just remember people's names. And once you do that, just be a good listener. Sit there and just listen. All right. And when you now have done all of those things, start speaking in a way that the person genuinely realizes that you have understood them. And how do you do this? You start speaking in terms of the other person's interests. Because you've been listening, now you know they love football. You start speaking in football references, and guess what? They start looking at you as a genuinely interested person, because people like us do things like this. That's like a rap, but I got it from Seth Godin, so I can't claim it. But yeah, there we go. And once you've done that, just make other people feel important and do that sincerely. And while you're doing that, just watch your bank balance go up. I can imagine right now you're probably, giving up on marketing and sending maybe hundreds of emails without even getting as much as, hey, thank you so much for reaching out, or you're cold calling potential clients and having them hang up in your face and maybe wasting thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on ad spend without generating any qualified leads. I had to slow down on that just so I check if you were listening. A lot of people are spending thousands of dollars on ad spend, and it feels like nobody wants to buy what it is that you're selling. But who are you selling all that to? Have you actually identified your market and gone out to do all you can to be affable towards them? Like I said, let's look at the topic of being affable in a little bit more detail. It's easy to be available. It's easy to prove our ability, but to be affable, why is that? Because I suspect it's a lot more important that we think more on what it actually means to secure a client. People are not just buying from you just because you did some jujitsu on the presentation or whatever it is. They're looking at how you genuinely care about the outcomes that you're talking about, how you genuinely have an intricate will for them to actually win, way beyond them just paying you your retainer every single month. It's a lot more important than we think to be affable when it comes to generating leads. People come to me and say, oh, we've tried all of these things and it's not working. Have you actually tried to be nice to people? Have you actually tried to really care about the people's results? I mean, as with doctors, being affable simply means being friendly, being empathetic, and caring about your client's business. Are you reaching out, giving them advice? You know what I do every single day? I get PR requests from different organizations because I've set up myself like that, and I look into my client base, who can actually respond to these PR requests. And guess what that does? It's got nothing to do with me, but it's putting my client in the public eye and getting third party validation of the work that they are doing, and in the process, that increases their, trust in the work that I do. They now see and notice that I genuinely care for the outcomes that are coming, with the work that we're doing. I'm not just simply looking at them as a hashtag that I can siphon investment money from, Let me tell you something, man. My own research with client companies tells me that clients really like it when, I display genuine interest in their business and their goals. Where do they really want to reach? It's not necessarily, especially for me as a digital marketer, nobody ever wants to be number one on Google. That's the least of the things that they want. They want happy kids. They want a happy family. They want to be available to do the things they absolutely love. Let me tell you something. Our clients, they don't like it when coaches or consultants give the impression that they're just in it for the money. They want a partner who really cares about helping that client, or their company succeed, And you know what this means? It just means giving more of yourself. Just like what I'm doing right now, 30 minutes of a day, which I freeze in time and give so much value, or even just an idea, or just spark your interest, just so you can have something to work on with your business so that it becomes profitable and enjoyable. I get nothing from me showing up every single day, but the amount of accolades, the amount of awards, the amount of connections and referrals that I'm now getting by just sitting here for 30 minutes a day. That's what being affable means. It also means being likable. We know that people do business with those they know, like, and trust. It means making a few phone calls that aren't strictly about business, that aren't strictly a billable, endeavor to say, oh, yeah, I was on the call with you for 30 minutes, so you owe me for that. But you really just got to indicate that you're genuinely interested and committed to the results that person is about to achieve. Let me tell you something. Affability is the number one reason for patients choosing a particular doctor. Because if a doctor has the worst bedside manner, people will talk. And I also bet is the number one reasons that clients actually choose a freelancer. You know what I mean? Because once you deliver outstanding results for your clients, you win their loyalty for life. And clients will sing your praises to their family, to their friends, colleagues at a barbecue, and even strangers on a bus. Sure, I mean, cover the basis of, proving that you are capable of providing the service, and then also let people know that you're available. But if you want to beat all your competition out there, not necessarily being on the top of Google, not necessarily being the most downloaded YouTuber or things of that nature, you just want to show people that you absolutely care. And once you show people that you care, you, my friend, will be able to write your own paychecks. And let me be accurate and frank, because some people think being affable means being a pushover or something of that nature. No. That's not what I is talking about. Being an affable person means that you know who you are, and then you use that strong sense of self. Because when you've got your own self-esteem, you don't care, really care what other people think, especially the people that are not paying you money. And you use that to aid yourself, the people around you, and you begin to connect, you begin to share with those that actually, will respect and value your presence in their life. Let me tell you something, man. Somebody who's affable tends to be warm, tends to be inviting, tends to be approachable. Now, tell me, aren't those the aspects that people want to do business with? Yet it is in no way any means to be a doormat. I'm not saying be a walkover or don't even have a spine or things of that nature. You cannot be taken advantage of if you are genuinely nice. You know why? Because people do not want to mess where their food is coming from. So once you're affable, you have a strength of character and self-confidence, which becomes the trademarks and the actual brand that people talk about at a barbecue. All right, your brand is not necessarily the colors or the way you write or the fonts or things of that nature. It's just how you treat others and how others speak about you when you're not present. Okay, and guess what happens now? When you're inclusive, when you're affable, you become a leader. You become a great, public servant. Okay, you become a great team player. You become a great and amazing communicator, and you become an asset to your own business just by being nice. Do you know what I mean? And whether the road ahead for you is for you to help others justify their failures, help others, or maybe encourage their dreams or confirm people's suspicions, people will only open up to you if you show genuine interest in them. And this could actually make a huge difference when times are hard. No matter what situation, when you're dealing with people, if you genuinely care about the outcome, if you genuinely care about the people will gravitate towards you. I want you to be on the winning edge. I want you to start looking at ways that you can be more affable, okay? And this is not only to meet the challenges you're facing right now, but to actually prepare your business so that it is profitable and enjoyable. But you can't be all things to everyone, okay? You need to identify the people that you can be affable to. I'm not saying be nice to everybody else who's, taking the mickey on the internet. I'm just saying when you found your people, get them to understand that it's easy to work with you, that you're capable of doing the work, and that you are a pleasure to do business with. And once you're in there, your business becomes profitable and enjoyable. Now, let me tell you something. A life well lived, a life full of character, and having had the ability to help others be, do, and have a happier existence is the greatest gift that you can pass on as any legacy or anything else that you can think of in your life. All right? So those are the assets that you need to cultivate within your business. Yes, I did mention affability a lot because sometimes we might forget. Availability is easy. You know, you can easily show people your calendar when next you're available to have a chat with them. Ability, we're always talking about it in our alphabet soups and things of that nature. But if you absolutely want to win at life, be an affable person. And an affable person means being pleasant to talk to, being approachable, being polite, being gracious, being warm, have the concern and well-being of others, and you will turn out into an excellent leader. You turn out into an excellent collaborator. You turn out into an excellent communicator, and you will definitely be motivating yourself because each time anybody shows up at your workplace, at your home, and says, because of you, I did not give up, that is the greatest gift any coach or consultant will ever wish for. I can't wait to see what you're going to do with this information. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au